Welcome back to Project Red Review Episode number 2. We're here reviewing the second episode of Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity Twin Blaze. Pretty much picking up like right after the last episode. So Bushido tries to arrest Infinity. It gets handcuffs, no problem. And then Emoji Gear decides to activate a portal to Maku space. I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, this is also kind of something they did do, the whole thing of going to Maku space. Like, we kind of see it here. It's closed. And then pretty much basically, then we show off the guy who's in charge of the delivery thing of these gears. Is this human in Maku space in a base that looks very similar to Don Hor's castle. I wonder if basically the Maku space has any like people who's in charge of the whole big syndicate. I wonder if it's this relative of Don Hor, because when I think of Maku space, I think of Don Hor. That's simply what it is. But Don Hor has been long since deceased. He's been deceased since the 1980s. So then, of course, basically he proceeds. Then we have the guy from last episode who basically went nuts with Emo. He gets transported and he's saved by the dealer. Though he suggests to do this by Death Gavan. Yes, this actually is his first proper appearance at the period of brief cameo in the opening few minutes of the previous episode. And he is now. I'm thinking this is Death Gavan, because of course, basically, that I've heard this actually is Death Gavan. He's the fourth Gavan we see here. The third one pops up. There's one more pops up in the post-credit scene of the episode, which first one of the series so far we have post-credit scene, which, and then of course they attack. R.E.D comes in to help him out. R.E.D, of course, talks to Bushido. He mentions that he also gets injured in his fight with, of course, the guy's grunts. So he is not human. Of course, I knew about this prior to the show starting. He is, in fact, a robot. Made under, like, the initial synopsis for him is that he's actually from Earth. Originally, he was basically just someone who's been there for centuries. Turns out that's actually not the case. Turns out he was built on another planet, and because he got disposed of, because they thought it was useless, so he joined the Galactic Police Federation, which they kind of swarm in via basically like a piece of like a royalty, just knighting them with a sword, and it becomes Gavan Bushido. It's a very brief scene here, and then of course they attack once again. Of course, basically the guy decides himself as his own version of a doubler. I look at this monster. Yeah, it's basically Doubler from it's. Basically the same time monster as a doubler from the original Gavan series. So Gavan transforms, and they do in fact prior to this, where the whole thing was being transported, we do have him talking to the guy's sister who was injured last episode about the emoji and of course his rage. He takes it back obviously because it's actually his, he needs it. Then he transforms, and Bushido transforms too, and then the guy proceeds to open up a portal to Maku space, which his monster, Bushido. Now the thing is, then we have a nod to the original Gavan series. So they have it where Reggie's ship comes in the atmosphere. So Reggie tells Bushido, "Come with me, we're going to Maku space," which he agrees, and they go on top of the spaceship. Yes, on top of the spaceship. Also, part of this, they do in fact get all the pink in the atmosphere when they get the emo. They do in fact, thanks to AGI's like thing of like wiping it out. And then they go to Maku space, which is a little different than what they did in the original series. In the original series, Gavan is sucked into it thanks to Don Hor telling him to open up a portal to Maku space, and he's sucked in with a monster. And of course, he summons his well, I've always heard of it as his mattress morph because it looks like a mattress. Here he doesn't do that at all. He rides the actual spaceship inside, and they fight the two, and then of course, then do something that the original Gavan, never did in the original series. which was having one of his assistants contact headquarters for approval for assault mode. Basically the robot mode. And we see various individuals like thumb, talk to the Supreme Commander, answer authorization, he approves it. And the other guy has the thing transform right there. Interesting they do that. I thought that was a really original idea because Metal Heroes never did this at all. Most of what they can do themselves, they don't have to receive authorization from headquarters every time. Could you think that probably in the original series this probably had to happen every time they transform? I would say yes, but it's mostly off screen. So, also the comedy with the previous episode here, they're like, oh, there's more commotion going on. He has no idea what's going on with archives. So, then the ship transforms while Pachita deals with the R.E.D. The monster horse is destroyed here. He takes the other guy into custody. And then of course, we see something that the show Era Sentai series loves doing. Using, this is actually something that Bioman did. Where the robot, they used the robot to break into the base. And they're there to destroy its nuclear reactor. Yep, at the shield like a blast door, what appears to be a blast door. Knocks over the thing, and does destroy it because, of course, there's a Mako base here. And they get in custody. They get out. They him and his goons are in the custody, and then Gavan goes off someplace else because this thing is done. And then after the credits, we see the debut of Gavan Luminous. Well, outside of her Gavan form, where she likes cutesy stuff, and has some of her Earth, and it's a very brief scene. So technically, she's the third Gavan. Well, the regular Gavan. Now, is there any more Gavans? I don't think so. I think there might be like one other one I could think of, maybe, but this is the only one that was announced for the protagonist for the show. Was you have 3 different Gavans for 3 different dimensions. They refer to Gavan as a dimension hopper. Which I kind of suspect that due to they explain the whole the multiverse stuff in prior with the promotional material with the show, which I kind of appreciate the fact basically they actually play off of that here. But good episode 2, and I do like all the nods. I still enjoy all the nods they have. Like the only nods I see for the original Gavan series is going to Mako space and the robot transforming. Yeah. That was the only nods I saw, and plus also the monster looking like one of the doublers from the original show. Yep. That's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Next up we have is Kamen Rider 6. Okay, next video. Bye.